from South Florida's news station, WSVN 7. Sally Fitz and Rick Sanchez. This is 7 News at 5 o'clock.
Tonight on 7 News First at 5, the man charged with killing a Pensacola abortion doctor says he's going to use a unique defense, the Bible. We'll have Team 7 coverage. Plus, the William Lozano retrial. Is it too hot for Orlando to handle? Day 12 in the cult standoff in Waco. Tonight we'll hear from the cult leader's mother. The murder-suicide of a young couple in Sunrise. The murder victim's call for help is recorded by a 911 operator. A 13-year-old dies at a North Miami high school. As cops look for answers, students raise money for the funeral. And it's unanimous. Janet Reno will be the nation's next top cop. Good evening. The man charged with killing an abortion doctor says he has a defense, the Bible.
Now, this is a case that's already making national headlines. Never before has an anti-abortion protest turned deadly. An abortion doctor shot in cold blood outside his clinic as a group of pro-life protesters demonstrates nearby. 7 News reporter Glenna Milberg is joining us now. She rushed to Pensacola, Florida tonight. That is where the eyes of the nation are watching this case all so closely. Glenna?
Indeed, Rick, and as you can see, police are still on the scene where the killing took place. This is the clinic right behind me, one of 3 where Dr. Gunn worked in Pensacola. His accused murderer, Michael Griffin, before a judge this morning, he tells the judge he wants to be his own attorney, and he wants to use the Bible as his defense. Now, this murder is the most violent crime as far as we know of in the name of abortion rights, but ironically, this, for once, is bringing both sides together. Both are condemning the killing.
I would like to keep my Bible as one of my legal documents.
His Bible and a warm blanket is all Michael Griffin asks for in prison. No bond for the abortion opponent accused of killing the only doctor in Pensacola who performed them. According to his arrest report, Griffin waited for Dr. David Gunn to arrive at his clinic where a protest was going on. Then he shot him in the back 3 times before calmly, even politely, turning himself over to officers on the scene. Police guard the other Pensacola clinics where Dr. Gunn worked, where coworkers and clients grieve, and where opponents of abortion have continually made clear their convictions. What was he up against here?
A lot of harassment, protests, picketing at his home.
Co-workers say Dr. Gunn, vocally pro-choice, has had threats against him before. Regular and frequent anti-abortion protests in this politically conservative Bible Belt city.
Emotion that comes out as far as in church, their own personal upbringing.
Michael Griffin began coming to Charity Chapel a few months ago. Like him, the church members here are vocally pro-life. In this church, abortion equals murder. But take another life in the name of those convictions? No, they say there is something very wrong with that.
It has to be nonviolence. Yeah. That's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
The nonviolence is an exact juxtaposition against the violence that goes on inside the abortion clinic.
In fact, the head of Pensacola's Right to Life movement feels the murder is a setback for his cause. On that count, pro-choicers agree.
I hope that he gets the maximum punishment possible. Everyone's entitled to their own rights and their own beliefs, but the law is the law. Abortion is not illegal. A woman has the right to do it. It's my body, it's my choice, and I'm going to stand true to that. I'm not going to have anyone intimidate me.
The clinics are rescheduling patients elsewhere until another abortion doctor comes on board, and there will be one, promises Dr. Gunn's associates.
This isn't going to stop him. He wouldn't want it to.
Police tell us they are not expecting any more violence here, but still, as a precaution, they are upping the surveillance, the police presence around all the clinics here. At one of those clinics, there will be a candlelight vigil tonight for Dr. Gunn by his friends and his patients, while the clinic search for another doctor to take his place. Live in Pensacola, I'm Glenna Milberg. Now back to you.
Thank you, Glenna. Now with this cult standoff in Waco and the abortion doctor shooting now in Pensacola, you know, it's kind of makes you wonder just how far people are willing to go for their favorite causes, their favorite religion. Coming up in just a few minutes, we are going to examine that very issue. It's all ahead. in a 7 News special assignment report, committed to the cause.
Police say a pregnant woman is shot and killed by her own husband, who then turns the gun on himself. The 19-year-old woman in Sunrise made a frantic call for help. She told the 911 operator her husband had a gun, and that's when the operator heard shots fired. Police say her husband killed her and then killed himself. The young couple recently got married. Still no word on why it happened. We'll have more on this story tonight at 6 o'clock.
Tonight it's a done deal. South Florida's own Janet Reno has been approved as Attorney General of the United States. The 54-year-old Dade State Attorney won unanimous Senate approval in Washington, D.C. today. That means Reno will soon become the nation's first woman Attorney General. She's been Dade's state attorney now for the past 15 years. Only thing left now is to be sworn in. That should happen at the White House sometime in the next few days. We are obviously going to have live reports from Washington, D.C. with the very latest coming up at 5:30.
Details on a breaking story just coming into our newsroom right now. Apparently, another ferry boat disaster looming off the coast of Haiti. Penny Daniels at our news desk with the late-breaking details. Penny?
That's right, Sally. We are just getting word that a ferry boat carrying more than 100 Haitians has sank off the coast of Haiti. Let's take a look. It happened about 60 miles west of Port-au-Prince. Officials say the boat, St. Andrew, started taking on water after its water pump broke. Now, you may remember just last month, a similar ferry boat sank right near there. At least 700 of the passengers are believed to have died in that accident. That ferry boat was a lot like the one that went down today. In fact, today's ferry was the replacement to the one that sank last month. Just like before, when the ferry started sinking, the Haitian government called the U.S. Coast Guard for help. They sent in 3 cutters and a few choppers. The good news is, in today's incident, everyone has been rescued safely, even a woman who was 9 months pregnant. In fact, she could possibly give birth on the Coast Guard vessel that rescued her. The question now is, if she does, will the child become a U.S. citizen? We'll let you know. I'm Penny Daniels at the news desk. Now back to you.
And we will follow that story. Thank you, Penny. Rick?
The mother of a radical cult leader in Waco, Texas, is turned away from the compound gates today. It is day 12 of the deadly cult standoff, and the day cult leader, David Koresh's mom, tried to get in to see her son, but FBI agents said no way. Koresh's mom asked reporters to send her son a message that she loves him and is trying to help him dearly. Meanwhile, Koresh promised to release 3 people today, but that didn't happen. 7's Patrick Frazier is still covering the story in Waco. We are going to have a live report from him on the very latest there coming up at 6 o'clock. There may now be an end in sight to another standoff, this one in Costa Rica. The Nicaraguan embassy has been under siege since Monday, but now the gunmen have just released 2 hostages. Kidnappers are still holding about 18 others, including Nicaragua's ambassador. Right now, police are saying they think they're part of a Contra-rebel movement.
The city of Orlando is gearing up tonight for the retrial of Miami police officer William Lozano. Lozano, a Colombian, is charged with manslaughter in the shooting deaths of 2 black motorcyclists. All these moves come after legal challenges designed to ensure him a fair trial. Well, now the retrial actually, is headed for Orlando, the 5th time that this trial has been moved in 1 year. In April of 1992, the trial was moved from Miami to Orlando. But the next month, it was moved to Tallahassee. But Tallahassee didn't want the trial either, so it was moved a few months later to Orlando again. Late last year, the trial was moved back to Tallahassee again. Then, last night, an appeals court decided to move the trial back to Orlando. Now, that is where 7 News senior reporter Mark Ludner is right now. He has been following the story since the very beginning. Mark, I guess the question is Orlando ready for this trial this time?
Sally, we've been spending most of this day here at the Orange County Courthouse, where the Lozano retrial at long last is scheduled to begin on May 17th. By and large, people here say they're ready. The Lozano trial is front-page news here today, but most people think Orlando will take the case in stride.
We won't do anything extra or special for this because we have no reason to believe or any intelligence to believe that there's going to be any particular problem. Now, if we hear of something or something arises, then we'd have to change our plans a little bit.
I really think that Orlando is capable of handling this with no problems.
Chief Judge Frederick Pfeiffer says Lozano will be tried in a 1924 vintage courtroom, complete with cane-back chairs for the jurors and a mural above the judge's bench. He says he and trial judge Thomas Spencer were surprised to learn that the date they set for Lozano's second trial, May 17th, is the anniversary of Miami's 1980 McDuffie riots.
We discussed about 60 days down the line. He says, well, May 17th is about 60 days away. Let's set it for that date. And I said, fine. So I'm sure he was not aware of the significance of the date.
As the day of trial approaches, we'll all be waiting to see whether after all these years and all this moving around, the Orange County Courthouse turns out to be the end of the road for the very well-traveled case of the state of Florida versus William Lozano. Mark London reporting live from Orlando.
All right, thank you, Mark. William Lozano, by the way, is still technically a Miami police officer. He was never suspended, but he was relieved of duty awaiting the outcome of the trial. And we're going to have more coming up later in the Lozano trial. Coming up at 5:30, we're going to look at the racial makeup of Orlando and how close it is to the population of Dade County and Tallahassee.
Former high school teacher convicted of conning 3 kids into killing her husband is on the move. Prison guards moved Pamela Smart from New Hampshire to New York for, quote, security reasons, but they are not elaborating tonight. Smart was sentenced to life for coercing her teenage lover and 2 others into killing her husband. That was 3 years ago.
An abortion doctor is killed, and the abortion controversy flares up again. Tonight, a question. Just how far will people go in the name of a cause?
Frightening moments in Ohio as a school bus filled with students dangled precariously on the edge of a cliff.
You're watching Channel 7 News at 5 with Sally Fitz and Rick Sanchez.
Channel 7 News brought to you in part by Jenny Craig Weight Loss Centers, the real-life answer.
Hi, I'm Regis Philbin. With me is Tony Todd, who lost 30 pounds at Jenny Craig. So what was it like to be losing this weight? I mean, it must be a tremendously euphoric feeling.
It was. It came off gradually, and each time I went to get weighed, I was just very ecstatic at the weight loss. I felt more alive and more energetic.
Maybe it's time for you to call Jenny Craig.
Get personal weight management at Jenny Craig. Pay as you go, just $6 a week. Call 1-800-68-JENNY.
Now's the time to bring your film into Walgreens and get a second set of regular size prints for just 99 cents. Super size, just $1.69. Stay Free's new ultra-thin maxis and maxi liners are only $3.29 each. After rebate, they're free. Walgreens has these St. Ives skin and hair care products for just 99 cents after rebate. And also after rebate, Aveeno bath lotion is only $4.99. Aveeno cleansing bars, just 99 cents. Right now at Walgreens.
Do I look like a mathematician? Well, you don't either. Of course, we don't have to be. Rooms to Go sees to that, with prices that are easy to figure out because they're always lower. Whatever piece you want, whatever day you shop, you get low prices. Reduced even further when you buy the whole room. So the math is simple because it always adds up to this. If you need furniture from one piece to an entire house full, you'll always get it for less at Rooms to Go. Count on it.
You spent a pile of money on your car, but the wrong gasoline could blow everything. May we suggest Chevron with Tetraline for protection that helps keep your investment intact. Chevron, simply smarter.
President Clinton is now trying to create new jobs for thousands of people who used to work in our nation's defense industries. Mr. Clinton spoke to a group of laid-off defense workers in Baltimore, Maryland today. He told them he plans to slash America's military spending, but he's going to try to help them find new jobs.
I don't pretend that this will be easy, and all of it will take some time. But the choice we face is between bold action to build a stronger and safer and smarter America, or continuing to cut defense with no appropriate response, or with one that is too localized and too limited.
The president says he plans to spend almost $2 billion immediately to do just that.
Murder in Pensacola, as we told you at the top of this newscast. An opponent of an abortion takes the law into his own hands and allegedly kills a doctor. It's an issue full of passion. Both sides are committed to this cause. But tonight, in a special assignment report, 7 News reporter Carlos Harrison poses this question. How far will they go?
Keep your rosaries off my ovaries! Keep your
Rage and outrage. When the issue is abortion, it seems anything goes.
I've seen big men, pushing women aside, so angry that the veins are popping out of their necks.
Protesters have thrown themselves on the ground to block traffic. They've thrown their kids in front of cars. They've thrown bombs. Now, add murder. A Pensacola doctor gunned down.
This time, it was Pensacola. But South Florida is no stranger to violent protest against abortions. Right here, the women's clinic in Fort Lauderdale. They've had their glass smashed on the front door. They've had the doctor's front windshield smashed out just 3 weeks ago. They've had a bullet fired through the window and right into Joyce Tarnow's office. She says what happened yesterday was just a matter of time.
I'm very scared. I'm worried that this escalation was inevitable. They have pushed and become more aggressive.
Those who oppose abortion point out that Pensacola is an isolated case.
It's really very sad that this has happened yesterday because the doctor's life is just as important as the baby's life.
But those who want to keep the clinics open want strong action.
Any acts of violence that are perpetrated on clinics should be considered domestic terrorism, the same as the bomb in New York.
Carlos Harrison, 7 News, Broward.
Now, in the aftermath of the Pensacola slaying, congressmen and abortion rights groups across the country are calling for an FBI probe of the anti-abortion movement itself. Let's turn things over now to Jillian Worry. She's watching the weather for us, and it's time to do just that. Jill?
It looks pretty good out there right now. The problem is that there's some active weather on the way. Some of the temperatures currently across the state, 70, 72 right now in Jacksonville, 69 Daytona Beach, 74 in Tampa, 76 in Key West. High pressure has been dominating most of our forecasts for the past few days, bringing us abundant sunshine. However, there is a frontal system on the way. Here's the beginning of it. In fact, there's a cold front that continues to move into parts of the northern panhandle. That's not the real problem. The big weather maker over the next day or two is going to be this area right here. It's a low-pressure center developing in the western Gulf of Mexico. This is going to continue to move to the northeast. It doesn't look like it will affect South Florida as hard as it will affect parts of North Florida. We're talking tides maybe 1 to 3 feet above normal by Friday night, right about here along the northeast coast. But for us, it's going to mean an increase in clouds and thunderstorms, some of which could be kind of heavy. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Get out of the way. Of course, here it is right here as it continues to move into parts of Louisiana, then into Alabama, Mississippi, into the panhandle. And that's what most of the panhandle will be up against tonight. Now, the cold front itself is going to drop south just in time for the weekend. Why does it always do that? And that means most of Saturday will be cloudy, thunderstorm Saturday night, clearing out by Sunday, which is good news. So we'll round off the weekend with some sunshine. And still tonight, we'll see fair skies, despite the fact that this system is in the northwest. It's too far from us. The problem is, again, going to be the winds. We'll see strong southerly winds on the eastern side of that front. Once that front passes through and we see the thunderstorms, the winds are going to pick up out of the north, and that means Sunday night, Monday morning, we're going to have some very cool temperatures, perhaps the coldest of the season. For tomorrow, partly cloudy skies. We're still running a risk of a shower or two. The overall high, about 80 degrees. And we'll take a look at the next 5 days if we could pull those up quickly. The front passes through. Take a look at Sunday, a high of 74, even cooler on Monday. So we just have to get through the active weather, Rick and Sally, and that's going to be mainly on Saturday night. So we'll get through that. We'll be back to sunny skies on Sunday.
For Coyote, all right. Thank you. A huge battleship just cruised into South Florida. It's ready for war. War on oil spills, that is. You're going to see some pictures from Skycam 7. The 210-foot ship is called the Florida Responder. It went for a test run off Miami Beach. The vessel's going to be based at the port of Miami. It is fitted with state-of-the-art equipment to help fight and contain oil spills.
She was released from prison after murdering her abusive husband. Tonight, we will hear her story as told by her. That's next on 7 News for Women.
And a hot new diet is sweeping the country. Details ahead on our 5:30 HealthCast. Stay with us.
I'm Joan Lovett in the 7 Newsroom. You've heard of people addicted to alcohol, drugs, even sex. But there's a new addiction for the 90s, carbohydrates, and how they might be making you fat. We'll have that story on 7 News at 5:30.
Denny's asked America what keeps them coming back after 40 years.
Oh, that big breakfast with the 2 of everything.
The Grand Slam.
Yeah, 2 pancakes, 2 eggs.
Cooked exactly the way I tell them.
With 2 sausages and 2 strips of bacon. A big fresh cooked breakfast. It's a good value, that 2 of everything. The Grand Slam.
It's been a good value for 40 years at Lenny's. Denny's. Denny's.
America's favorite breakfast place is 40 years old, and our Grand Slam breakfast is just $2.99.
That's it, the Grand Slam.
Where is that? Oh, it's gorgeous. Nice beaches. It's tropical. I think I will guess Hawaii.
Whoa.
No. Oh, look at this vast open rockiness. Oh, it's green. It's gorgeous. Look at that. It's a man's vacation. It's Scotland. Scotland. Oh, nightlife. Monaco. Oh, don't say no. No.
Where the new world meets the old world, discover the new old world.
Puerto Rico!
Puerto Rico.
Oh, I should have known.
It was Best in Show at the North American International Auto Show. It has more room than the Infiniti Q45 and more horsepower than the BMW 525i. It has dual airbags and a built-in fold-down child seat. Where this car is made is not nearly as important as where it's sold. Introducing the Chrysler Concorde, the renaissance of the American car.
I didn't think it was possible that once-a-year treatment would work, but it does.
They took the switch plates off.
There were absolutely no fumes, no smell.
These people are talking about Sears once-a-year pest control.
I've lived in Florida all my life and always battled bugs until we found Sears.
Absolutely, I know I can trust Sears.
When that company says that they guarantee, they're for real.
Call Sears once-a-year pest control today. It works.
No bugs.
Topping 7 News for Women, a medical mystery for women. Researchers say women are twice as likely as men to develop Alzheimer's disease. Problem is, doctors don't know why. The women are also more likely to get Alzheimer's when they're middle-aged. A battered wife released from prison yesterday is not forgetting the women left behind for murdering her abusive husband.
My release today is not as important as the precedent it sets in opening the doors for the others I leave behind. To them, I send this message. They are not forgotten, and now is not the time to give up.
9 other women imprisoned in Florida are being considered for clemency based on battered women's syndrome. Jean Kennedy Smith may become the next U.S. ambassador to Ireland. It's been 2 years since she spent all her time supporting her son during his rape trial. With that behind her, Smith can turn to politics like most of the other Kennedys. Not all moms want to breastfeed in public, even with the state's new law giving them the right to do so. So the Broward Mall is designing a nursing room for mothers in its food court area. It's part of a major renovation that will also include family bathrooms, designed so dads can take the kids to the bathroom too. What a relief.
Do you think because you're over 50, it's too late to start an exercise program?
No way.
You're right, Joyce. Okay, I want to show you some exercises for those of you out there over 50. Bring that leg behind you. Knee to knee, slight pelvic tilt. We're stretching out the hip flexors, the muscles that tend to tighten up on us in front of the thigh here. Now come on behind the chair. Hold on. Bend your knees. Now press the chest down. We're stretching out the chest. There we go. Roll it up here. Now we want to strengthen the opposite muscle, the upper back. You're going to just fold your arms in front of you. Now squeeze the elbows back. You can even go to your cupboards, take a 1-pound can of peas out of your cupboards, hold them in your hand for added resistance. Feels great. Once a day, that's all you need this, because remember, Joyce, if you don't use it,
I'll lose it.
That's right.
Tomorrow, if makeup's not your thing, you're going to love what's in for spring. That is tomorrow on 7 News for Women.
A school bus packed with students collides with a truck and ends up in a precarious position, dangling on the edge of a cliff. It happened on a snowy highway in Cleveland. A car went out of control and struck a tractor-trailer, forcing the truck into the school bus. The bus was headed over a steep cliff when its rear end caught on the guardrail. It hung there with 38 people on board until help finally arrived. The passengers we're told suffered only minor injuries.
A stash of soggy cash is found buried in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Evacuators discovered almost $12,000 in wet, moldy money, all of it buried by an elderly man who lived nearby. He died a few years back. Relatives say that he didn't like banks, so it seems he hid the dough from everything in walls and in dirt.
A new marriage turned sour and a murder-suicide is the end. That story is coming up at 6 o'clock.
And there's a promising new vaccine that could hold the cure to brain cancer. Details coming up in our 6 o'clock HealthCast. Keep it here.
Simply irresistible. It's Toyota's Simply Irresistible sales event. Your Toyota dealer invites you to check out Camry. Simply irresistible. Camry, one of the 10 best cars you can own. Camry, the best car built in the U.S. And with an incredible lease deal of just $279 a month for 36 months, Camry gets even better. So hurry and see your Toyota dealer now, because Toyota deals are just irresistible.
For the woman who defies her age, Rénergie, only from Lancôme, Paris. The power of double performance to diminish the appearance of wrinkles and increase firmness. A powerful alternative to looking your age. Rénergie, double performance anti-wrinkle and firming treatment.
Only from Lancôme, Paris.
Beauté de Paris, your gift with any 1750 Lancôme purchase. You'll find it at Verdines.
Another day begins in Europe. And as it does, American Airlines will touch down in 13 European cities in 9 different countries. So whether it's business or pleasure that brings you to Europe, fly the airline that can have you there as early as tomorrow morning. American Airlines, something special to Europe.
Washington apples. They're as good as you've heard.
Geese, not watchdogs, are being used to take a bite out of crime near San Francisco. Actually, it's 4 geese and a duck. It may be hard to believe, but neighbors are convinced that these guys are keeping crooks at bay. The owner says the flock has helped police nab at least 4 burglars so far. One criminal tried to hide out near their cage, and one night the animals made like a ton of noise. That is when police grabbed the guy. Now, if you ever heard of geese, it is much louder than any dog, as a matter of fact.
Don't go around listening to geese much, but I'll listen.
We do. We go over to C.B. Smith Park to feed them once in a while, and Ricky gets attacked, and they get really loud, and that's why I know that.
Coming up on 7 News at 5:30, a first for women and the nation. South Florida's own Janet Reno is going to become our country's top cop. We'll have a live report from Washington.
Also, the manslaughter retrial of William Lozano is going to be held in Orlando now.
I'm 7 News Health Specialist Marilyn Mitchell. A hot new diet is sweeping the country. It is very controversial, but some swear it works.
And in tonight's Kids in School report, some Dade students doing their best to triumph over tragedy.
These stories and a whole lot more coming up right here on Channel 7 News at 5:30.
Channel 7 News brought to you in part by Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.